Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to talk about something, well, something profound, something that touches every single one of us. We're exploring the rich inner world of the dying, what some call the end-of-life dreamscape.
I mean, it's a question humanity has been asking forever, right? What really happens in our minds as we approach death? What's going on in that final transition?
You know, a lot of us probably think that time is just filled with fear or sadness. But some really fascinating research paints a totally different picture. It turns out that for a lot of people, their inner world becomes incredibly active, just buzzing with these vivid and often really comforting dreams and visions.
So, okay, what are these dreams actually about? Well, let's dive into one of the most common and, frankly, most powerful themes that researchers have found. We're talking about visits from the past.
Just imagine hearing these words in a dream. There was this study. It documented a terminally ill woman who dreamt of her late husband, and his message to her was so simple, but so profound. I'm waiting for you. And this is exactly the kind of deeply personal, powerful encounter that people report over and over again. And what's so interesting is who shows up in these dreams. It's not random at all. The most common visitors, deceased family members, even beloved pets who've passed on. The one consistent thread is that these are figures who gave love and care throughout the person's life. Yeah, and this connects perfectly to a point made by a researcher named Christopher Kerr. He really emphasizes that these encounters are deeply relational. It's almost like the mind is summoning this lifetime of love to bring comfort right when it's needed the most. And these dreams, they do more than just comfort. They can bring about some really profound healing. Kerr tells this incredibly powerful story of a 70-year-old woman who, in her final days, started moving her hands like she was holding a baby. Turns out, she was having visions of the infant son she'd lost at birth, a grief she had never, ever been able to talk about. This kind of reunion brought her a sense of peace and resolution. Just amazing. So, besides seeing loved ones, there's another really common theme that keeps popping up, and that's dreams filled with these powerful symbols of a journey. Yeah, researchers hear about these getting ready to go dreams all the time. People describe packing a suitcase or getting on a bus or a train. They see doors and stairs. One person even talked about climbing barefoot toward an open door that was just filled with white light. I mean, these are such universal metaphors for a transition, aren't they? So, why the journey dreams? What's the point? Well, researchers think it's the mind's way of processing what's happening. It's like a psychological coping mechanism. It lets the person explore and make sense of this huge transition from life to death, but in a symbolic, kind of manageable way. Okay, I get it. This might all sound a little unsettling, right? Dreaming of people who've passed, getting ready for a final journey. So the really crucial question is, how do these dreams actually feel for the person having them? The answer might honestly surprise you. There was this survey of palliative care professionals, and what they found was that the emotional response to these dreams is overwhelmingly positive. The words that came up most: calm, comforted, peaceful. In fact, only about 10% of these experiences were described as disturbing. And this just completely flips what our culture tells us about dying on its head. We're kind of conditioned to expect fear, sadness, anxiety. But for so many, the lived reality, what they're actually experiencing in this inner dream world, it's all about peace, love, and finally acceptance. Like that researcher, Christopher Kerr, says, one of the most striking things is the absence of fear. You know, our survival instinct is wired to make us fear death, but the actual lived experience for a lot of these patients is something else entirely. So, what do we do with all this? What does it all mean? How should this kind of research change the way we think about the end of life? Well, researchers have noticed that as a person gets closer to death, these dreams and visions happen more often, and they get more and more vivid. Kerr actually calls this a progressive sleep. People are drifting in and out, and it kind of blurs the lines, making these experiences feel incredibly real. And it's not confusion, it's a deepening of this inner world. When you get right down to it, these dreams serve a really vital purpose. They're there to provide psychological relief, to offer meaning and closure, to bring people back together with their loved ones, and to sort of gently guide them toward accepting what's happening. So I think the biggest takeaway here is this. Dying isn't just a biological failure. It's not just some medical event that needs to be managed. The final weeks, the final days of a life can be incredibly rich with love, with connection, and with profound meaning.
It's a human experience, through and through.
And that kind of leads us to one last really compelling question. Could these final dreams, all these visions of comfort and connection, could they be life's last gift? It's a pretty beautiful thought, isn't it? That our minds are built to find peace and love and meaning right up to the very, very end.